Welcome, everyone. My name is Tim. I am one of the parents of Dr. M's student. Met Dr. M, or I should say I knew about Dr. M probably close to 10 years ago. My nephew actually used her quite many years ago. And then when my son was in 9th grade, I spoke with her and started talking to her and start using her to help my kid develop his teenage year, as well as, of course, college planning. And that's how we met in the first place. So want to welcome Dr. M.
Thank you, Tim. And this presentation will be a bit participatory, and Tim will be coming up in a little bit to share some more information about his son. Is the audio okay? Okay, great, awesome. Welcome to college admissions the calm way. Thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate your coming out and taking out the time. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome, great, thanks. Before I start the presentation, I would first like to just make a few notes. First of all, we have a lot of information to give to you after the presentation in a PDF, and the way you can get that is by giving us your email address. We won't use it for anything else, but because we're in the spirit of being paperless, we'd like to be able to do it that way. So if you, Christina, do you have the sign-up sheet, or can you let us know where it is? So please be sure to sign up and give us your email as legibly as possible. I also wanted to note, I don't know if you've noticed on your seats that we put out a self-survey or a self-reflection survey for you to think about what you wish for your child. And I hope you had some time to jot down some notes. If not, I would love it if you just looked at those questions and came up with just a few ideas in your own head right now, some images. I find that a sort of like pre-test really helps in sort of tracking where you are after the lecture, and perhaps your ideas might be different. I wanted to mention that some members of the team are here today. So Christina, our admin assistant, is in the back. Laura and Stacy, two college counselors, are here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to talk to any of us afterward. I do want to make a note about our amazing results this year. I don't know if you saw it in one of the slides, but we did hit a record this year, and 3 of our students were admitted to Stanford University. So we were really, really excited to have such a powerful year, and our students also have gotten into a number of really excellent schools, and also they received a number of merit scholarships too. So I'd be happy to give you more details about that as well. I also want to announce that we have a special bonus presentation today. So in addition to college admissions the calm way, we're going to have Sally Wu, who is a certified college funding specialist, talk to you about college financial planning. So we're going to be giving you the complete picture today, from the academic side and the financial side. How is everybody feeling so far? Feeling calm? Anybody feeling calm? Okay, so one of the things I want to say is that although this talk is called College Admissions the Calm Way, you might not necessarily feel calm this moment. You might not feel calm in the next 2 minutes when I show you the next slide. But I do want to note that really what I'm talking about today is getting you to the place where the admissions operates in a calmer way for you than it generally would. Okay, so that's our aim today. So you might not feel super calm right now, but over time, I believe you will. So among many other things, I do a bunch of different things, and people who know me know that I wear a lot of different hats, but I'm a teacher. That's one of the things I really love to do. And so what do teachers do? they give you quizzes. So you have a quiz. And I think if you guys, can everybody read this? So just take a minute to read it. I have so much to say and talk about. I'm just going to take a quick water break while you read. And then when I think you're done, we're going to have a vote. Okay. Who votes for number 1? Who says number 1 is the true one? No? Nobody? Who says number 2? Number 2 is the true one. I got 1. I got 1. I got 2. I got 3. 2.5. Okay, who says number 3? Who thinks it's number 2? It's number 2. It's number 2. We tricked you. That's so awesome. Excellent. Okay. All right. So you can see 1 and 3, right? They're playing into sort of stereotypical understandings of what a high-achieving student is. But number 3, it's from a published article from the Stanford Alumni magazine from a few years back, so when the SAT was in the older form. How are you feeling now? There is no formula, right? Note, too, this idea of the way in which our applicants are competing against circumstances. So a tuba player one year could be very desirable. The next year, they have a lot of tuba players. And I also want to draw your attention to the bubbling up to the top. The bubbling up to the top. Okay. So there really is no formula, and that might feel unnerving to you. It might not feel calm to you. But I'm hoping that by the end of this lecture, you will be at least more excited about there not being a formula. And in the end, maybe it will make you more calm. So I want to talk to you today about what I truly believe. I truly believe that every family can succeed in college admissions while staying calm, strengthening family bonds, and contributing to their child's personal growth. I truly, truly, truly believe this, and I swear it is true, and Tim's going to come up in a little bit, and we're going to prove it to you together. I want to read this one more time. This is my message to you today. Every family can succeed in college admissions while staying calm, strengthening family bonds, and contributing to their child's personal growth. And what I'm going to do today is I'm trained as a philosopher. I didn't sort of talk about my background at all, but I used to be a philosophy professor, so I love arguments and persuasion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prove this by talking about 6 primary ways to succeed at doing this. And then after that, Sally Wu, who's our certified college funding specialist, she's going to provide the vital 7th, planning financially. Okay, are you guys ready for number 1? Number 1, doing this in a calm way, prepare your child for adulthood, not just college. In other words, keep the long view in mind. College is but the first stage in your child's life, in your child's adulthood. And in the end, what is going to prepare your child for adulthood, those are going to be the things that colleges value most when they're looking at your child's application. So I know oftentimes people come into my office and they're just a wreck because their child doesn't know what he or she wants to do. And they think that you need to know all this before you go to college, but you actually don't. You don't need to know this beforehand. And in reality, colleges, they don't really care about what your child wants to do. They don't care about what your child has done. They don't care about how hard your child works. In the end, they care about how your child puts all of this together. Right? Basically, what they want to know is, What is your child going to look like as a future adult? Right? So it's not what your child wants to do. It's not what your child has done. It's definitely not how hard your child has worked. That will be obvious. But what kind of picture is your child presenting in his or her application that indicates the kind of future adult this person will be? When we're in consultation sessions, in my practice, we talk about it as the future you, right? We have to come up with the picture of the future you. How does everything that a student has done, all the things a student wants to do, how does it present this picture of a promising adult with the background to back it all up, to make this great proposition to colleges? In the end, what your child is doing is making a proposition to colleges. So how do you prepare your child for adulthood such that college admissions is calm? How do you do that? Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to present the stressful counter example. So when you find out what not to do, I think we'll have a better understanding about what to do. And here we go. I'm just going to rack them all up. I think that's the last one. Sports, orchestra, yes. The non-unique, high-achieving student. Okay. This is what I call the stressful example. Why would I call this the stressful example and the stressful counterexample? What is going on in here that is making this stressful? There's too much stuff, okay? You don't know what to grab onto in that sense. Too much stuff. Other thoughts? There's no focus, right? There's no focus. There's no understanding of, there's nothing bubbling up to the top, right? Going back to that number 2 in the quiz. Nothing is bubbling up to the top. There's no picture, right? If we go back here, can I do this and get the whole thing? There's no picture of a future you. And this is very, very, very stressful. And I get a lot of students, families, who come into my office and the child is in 11th grade and they present all this stuff and I'm like, who are you? What are you interested in? And often this person, because they're racking up all these different things, they don't know. Stressful, stressful. I see a teen boy over here. You don't have to know everything yet. Don't worry. I'm going to get you to a calmer place by the end. I promise. I promise. No indication of a future you. Okay? And what comes along with this as well is usually when there's no indication of a future you and we've racked up all these extra things, this person hasn't necessarily gotten themselves into situations where they've challenged themselves. So if they get an essay question, for example, that says, oh, what is the greatest challenge you've ever gone through in your life? And that student says, I remember the time I had a B in A-push. No, that is not going to be something that indicative. That's something a lot of students go through. So the stressful counterexample also, it doesn't indicate personal growth. And that is something really, really, really important for college admissions. Personal growth leads the way. It really does. It leads the way to everything. So I put up here a testimonial from one of our students from this year, Tyler, and you can read, and I should have brought the handwritten card, and she wrote a card to me, and Laura was her counselor. She wrote a handwritten card to Laura, and so this is all just very genuine writing from her. We didn't coach her or script her or ask her to write certain things in this testimonial. And she really did notice that she was calmer, and that her friends had a hard time organizing themselves, and it made a really big difference. But what I really want to talk to you about is Tyler's personal growth. And I really believe that the personal growth that she was able to show in her application made a huge difference in her results, and Tyler was one of our students admitted to Stanford this year. Tyler was very, very, very interested in community service and community leadership. In fact, in her application, there were no fancy summer programs or anything like that. She had been very involved in girls' leadership and training girls to become like sort of executives of organizations. And she also founded an organization, STEAM for Students, so introducing elementary school students to STEAM. And she was very, very successful. She was so successful that a nearby student group in a nearby town recognized their efforts and like, that is so cool. We want to do this with you. We want to do it in our town. Why don't we start a movement? So they started to collaborate, and then Tyler realized, oh, this other student group, they want to go about this in a totally different way than I want to go about it. I like my grassroots, will go from school to school and keep building. They wanted to go to fancy conferences and get donors, and they were very taken up by the sort of, the Silicon Valley way of doing things. And she was slated to go to a conference and give a speech asking for money, and at a certain point she realized, I don't need all this money. I've been already very successful with my organization the way it is. I feel like these guys are going for glory, and they're going for what looks good on their applications. I don't want to do this. So she pulled out of the conference. The other group got very mad at her. Then she had to sort of make amends with her own team. And when the team regrouped, they went back to their old ways. They got a local grant from their town, and they expanded even more. When I heard the story of conflict, I said to myself, and that is your Common App essay. It was such an amazing story. And for students to write about conflict, and if we go into, I know, it's hard for girls. I think it's hard for girls. Maybe I'm wrong. And to do it in an empowering way, where you're not just apologizing all over the place. I really feel that person, once I heard about that story, I'm like, that's going to be it. That's going to be the angle. I want to tell you about another student, Robin. I met Robin. She is a student on the East Coast, and I met her just before she started high school. She said she wanted to go pre-med. She wanted to be a doctor. And she also said she was interested in social justice. She was really impressed by a program at CTY, a particular workshop that she did called GLOW, which promotes tolerance. And she said, I'm really interested in this. I said, okay, why don't we think about starting a club? So she decided to start a tolerance club in her affluent, white, and Asian American high school in that community. And she was doing things like privilege walk and rainbow cakes. She really did suffer a lot of backlash in this more conservative community. But she really carried on. She started volunteering for Planned Parenthood. She gave speeches on behalf of affirmative action. She also suffered a lot, in her community, in the sense of, introducing controversial things that people didn't necessarily want to talk about. And when she was admitted to Yale early admission, her admissions reader wrote her a note and said, your commitment to social justice inspires me. So, letting your child explore stuff, go through stuff, get into those conflicts, grow as a result. And I vividly remember when she gave the speech on affirmative action, and she wrote, and there was like a Facebook vote, and the kids voted her down, but the teacher gave her an A. But she cried and cried, and she wrote a free write, and I remember, spending an evening reading the free write, and just going through all the feelings, like, oh, this is so terrible this happened to you. I'm so proud that you dealt with it this way, and it showed through. So, don't worry about the checkbox, right? Worry about who your child is, how they're going to show up as people. You know, once you're not around all the time to be there with them, right? It was really the personal growth and the character that came through those applications. And both of them had very, very successful seasons. And it's almost like the great results flowed naturally from the process of taking on cool challenges, following passions, taking your licks, sticking to your guns, and just showing up on that application. It was almost like the results were like the cherry on top. Admissions officers want to encounter a person, like a human, behind all that stuff. So that was number one. Okay. Focus on adulthood. And guess what? To do that, there's a process. So here we are with number two. Trust the process. Avoid tackling all decisions at once. And this is where I like to talk to Silicon Valley parents as STEM people, as analysts. I know that when I talk with parents in this community, you know, they pride themselves in being scientific, right? To analyze things is to pull things apart. Analusis, I used to be a scholar in ancient Greek philosophy. Ana, apart. Lucis, to lay things down. Lay them down apart. That's what analysis is. And yet, often in my office, I will meet a new family, and the parents are like, my child is in 11th grade. She does not know what she wants to do. She does not know what she wants to major in. She does not know what she wants to go, where she wants to go to school. And she sucks at time management. Well, guess what that parent has done? You've balled it all up together. That's called synthesis, right? And shown up with a balled up mess. Analyzing things, pulling these pieces out. All these things are separate tasks. Time management is one task. Definition of interest is another task. Matching interests to careers, another task. Activating interests, trying new things and challenging themselves. Exploring dream schools. So separating out all of the pieces is what is really going to contribute to great success. And now I'm going to have Tim come up because we have a case study. And we're going to go through Matt. And we're going to talk about all the ways in which, well, maybe I'll put them all up and talk about all the ways in which we went through this with Matt. First of all, do you want to tell us where Matt is studying and what he's studying?
Sure. So Matt is in Northeastern right now, and he's studying biochem. As she'll show you later on, it's quite a journey from what he wanted to do at the beginning to what he ended up studying in school.
It was quite a journey, yes. So first, let's just take each one of these and let's just talk about time management. And you weren't that involved in this one, like except complaining.
Yes.
Right? And I think there were video games involved at the beginning.
There were definitely video games, and I would say he's your typical kid. You know, when we first started working with Dr. M, he was in his 9th grade. He was at a point where he definitely needed a little bit more structure, but the challenge, of course, is how do we enforce that structure, and this is where she came in and really helped us out.
So what did I do? I talked to this boy about his schedule. And this is what we do with students. Like, when do you go to school? When do you get up? how do things work out after school? What's going on here? And we talk to students about healthy habits. We're not here to just make them into study robots or anything like that. But once I was able to talk with Matt about his day and talk about, you know, when he needs downtime, when he needs social time, and I started to get him self-aware about his time. I think that's when things really started to change, you know. At the same time, to get him away from the video games, I was on, you know, a critical reading campaign, and what I did was I allowed him to read things he was interested in. So I didn't say, okay, I really want you to read this thing on social justice issue X. I said, what are you interested in? And he was interested in, what's that guy's name again?
Eddie Chung, Fresh Off the Boat.
Fresh Off the Boat? Yeah. He wanted to read this memoir by this chef guy who had gotten himself into all sorts of trouble, but was also very successful and like a millionaire. And I got him to start to read something he was interested in and talk to me about it. I also have little writing things, low stakes writing as well. So what I also started to do was provide things that might be a counterforce to some of the other things. But with time management, what's really important, and it's probably hard for a parent to do it, and it's possible to maybe get like a friend or an older sibling or something like that, is to work with your child and just literally have them start looking at their day. And once they start doing that, something will shift. I'm not saying they're gonna continue to do this. There's a lot in terms of, you know, it takes at least 3 months, right, to form a healthy habit. But that's one of the things. So time management. Then we did definition of interests. So Matt had a lot of different interests, right? So
He sure did.
do you want to start talking about that?
I think Matt, he does have quite a lot of, maybe you would call it creative interests, but he was kind of scattered all over. This is where Dr. M was also helping us to kind of focus that a little bit. And that itself, along with time management, focus him into what I would call a better person, a little bit more knowing what he wants to do. Going back to time management, there's one thing I kind of do want to add is, I think all of us here that are parents, a lot of times what we see is that when a third person is telling our kids to do something, that tends to be a little bit more effective than the parents nagging at the kid. This is what I found that was one of the things that was helpful from Dr. M is that, unfortunately, she became the bad guy and I became the good guy, right? She was, yes, whatever it takes. But she was helping me structure Matt, and we were also having conversations in the back end that Matt didn't realize that we were having. So that itself was a lot of value to me. It was literally having an extra parent, if you want to call it that.
Matt first started out as a sneaker hustler. So he liked basketball, he had an aquarium, he liked sneakers. So one of the things we've been talking about is he had so many different interests, right? And the thing to do is grab one and go for it. Just go for it that year. So we went with business, because we do sneaker hustling, and we did a business summer program. Well, then he decided, nah. We're like, okay, well, he likes arguing, right? He really likes arguing. So then he decided, I think I want to try law. So I was like, cool, let's do law. All right. And then I think he did what, ATDP, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then he was interested in business.
Yeah,
Also.
we did the business, then we did law.
We did law.
And
okay.
then we got back to bio. He started out as bio, and then we got back, right? So, and basically all we did was just follow him around and ignite, activate, get him moving, get him going. Okay, you tried that, you didn't like it, we'll try that. It wasn't a waste. None of it was a waste.
It's a journey. At the end of the day, it's a journey. One advice that I do have for parents is have them talk to different people, have them try different things that they think they like and things that they think actually they dislike, and see where they go from there, because they don't know what they don't know.
Which brings me to my next point, which is at one point I had found there was an announcement for the Academy of Sciences for high school interns. So at that point I just sent this thing over. I said, I really think you should apply to this. And he was, by then, a much better writer. And the really funny thing, I don't want to tell the story, but in the application it said, if you can't come up with a truthful story about this, just tell us a fictional one. And so he told this story about photography and marine biology, and I was like, oh my God, I missed a whole piece of this kid's life. I was sort of like a little mad at him when I read and he's like, oh, they told me I could lie. So like, well, you did an extremely good job. Anyway, so grab things. So basically, when he was interested in business, we were funneling it into that. When he was interested in law, funneling it into another program. But also, I just thought the Academy of Sciences might be just a nice way to show him something new. So I shoved the thing in front of his face. I said, all right, you got a week. Let's go. Let's see what happens. And that really changed things a lot. After that, Matt got his own job at an aquarium store. So you see that once you start working along these lines, they'll have their own ideas, they'll feel more empowered, and then we did assist with this, but he was really excited about it. He then decided to do an internship at the San Francisco Zoo for his last summer, because he had these great childhood memories about going to the zoo with his dad as a child. And then, you know, when it came to admissions, looking at dream schools, that was the other part, right? Because he at first wanted to go to small schools, and it turns out he's going to one of the largest schools. So I don't know if you want to speak to that at all.
I think at the end of the day, he wanted to go to the East Coast more than anything else. I'll tell you a little story. We worked with him to apply for a bunch of schools in California, and I basically told him he could pick 3 schools that he wants, anywhere he wants. And it was basically Boston University, Tufts, and Northeastern. Guess what? They're all in Boston. He definitely wanted to go to Boston, and to me, it's really working with your kid and knowing their interests. And personally, I don't feel any issue with him going away to let him see the other side of the world. To me, it's very valuable, and unfortunately, speaking for myself, I didn't get to learn that until much later in life when I start traveling for business. They're very different people when you go to even the East Coast. So this is a great opportunity for the kid to learn different culture, even though we're still in the United States, but how different people talk, how different people react. It's a really good opportunity for him at this point.
Okay, do you have anything to add on separating out all of these tasks, or any final words?
I think the one message that I do want to give to parents is, you know, look at your child, right? And see what the child really is interested. I was never a believer of where he has to go to Ivy League school. I definitely want him to go to a school that matches personalities and matches interests. So at the end of the day, if there's one message I could give, is match your kid with the school, not necessarily match your school with the kid.
Thank you. Excellent advice. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. So I got the parents here, and they're not protesting this. Excuse me. But they did become more relaxed. And that is one of the things that we see when we work with students, families over a longer period of time. You see that relaxation set in. And really what this is all about, I love using this word because I'm not, well, I think I am this, but not everybody agrees, but this is all about engineering steady progress and growth. That's really ultimately what this is all about. And Tim and I just talked about a number of different things. So if it feels dizzying, I understand, but we do have a guide. There are two guides. There's a guide and a timeline. So you see there are two resources that we'll be giving you. So if this feels a little overwhelming, once you dig in, it will start to settle in for you. So we know that you need to prepare your teen for adulthood, not just college. You need to trust the process, separating things out. And as I think Tim and I have sort of shown you guys, being flexible. Sneakers, business, law. And he came back to where he wanted to be, really. And Matt was also, like, right from the start, Matt was not someone who wanted to be the student going for, like, the top 10 or 20 schools like that. You know, he just felt like that wasn't his personality, that wasn't, like, his social scene in his high school. But he became very, very serious about his studies. He wasn't so serious, like, quite at first, but he became really serious on his own. So Matt is a great example of someone who didn't go through that clear trajectory. And I know it's so easy to really want your child to know exactly what he or she wants to do and then do all the extracurriculars to go with it and get into the right school, right major, right job, woohoo! Yay, jackpot! I got a kid who just went the straight and narrow path, right? That's what we call the clear trajectory. That would be great, but it's probably not going to be the case. That's a rare situation. Rather, it's generally the case that each path to top schools is unique and winding, right? So we had a great case in point with Matt. I'm going to tell you a few more quick stories. William, I'd met in the middle of 10th grade. William is a very high-achieving student in a public school around here. He was very serious about math, very serious about engineering, and very serious about creative writing. And a very good creative writer, had already won an award. And so when I met him, I said, we're going to do it all. We're just going to focus on it all. That's all. And in fact, what we did is during his summers, we spent more time on the creative writing because I felt, he also said he's probably going to be a computer science major and saw the writing like more on the side sort of thing, even though he was very serious about it. So summer after his 10th grade, summer after 11th grade, he did creative writing workshops. He also excelled in school. And William is now a computer science major at Cornell University, Arts and Sciences. He's also, I believe, a creative writing minor. He took a science fiction class last semester, in addition to the computer science work, which he absolutely loved. And it turns out that he'll probably be doing computational research for his science fiction teacher on her work. So he'll be able to combine the computational with his love for writing as well. So that's a really cool thing. And William was accepted to not only Cornell, but Haverford, Vassar, Oberlin, Wesleyan, Williams, Amherst, Tufts, NYU, Carleton, and University of Washington. Winding works. You don't need the straight and narrow. You can get into really, really good schools. I want to tell you quickly about Alina, who came to me in the spring of 10th grade, who knew that she was not a STEM student. She did not want to be an engineer. She did not want to do math stuff, even though she was very talented at that. She was interested in art, but she had no idea what she could do, where she could go, what her definition would be. I happen to have a degree in art as well, and we work with art students. So I decided, let's look at experimental avant-garde art. Let's also explore your interest in journalism. I think, why don't you think about maybe being a curator? She didn't go for that one, but I thought that would be a cool way to go about things. She volunteered for a local art center. She also was a writer for the Chinese New York Times, which became really, really interesting. And she wrote one of her essays for Stanford, where she is attending, on the semicolon. She wrote a 250-word essay on the semicolon. And when she met the admissions reader, you know, who had looked at her applications, the reader had remembered her essay. Winding, it works. Admissions is much more creative and flexible than you think, okay? And that's why I like to recommend to my clients that try and run at least 2 interests. You know, go for double majors, major minors, because the world is interdisciplinary. But besides that, your child appears like more of a person. And remember, they're looking for the human, right? They're not looking for the achievement machines per se. So, what's going to be the real kicker, the real thing that's going to make this all work? And that's number 4. Make sure your child cultivates a deep interest in something or a few things. Depth. Let me tell you about the well-rounded student versus the well-rounded class. Admissions officers are not looking for well-rounded students. They're looking for well-rounded classes, hence the tuba players. I could give you more stories, but we can talk after that. The more you assist your child in developing depth in a few areas of interest, the more calm admissions will be for you. I just can't stress this piece enough. Okay, and the more adulthood will be calm for your child. This just came out about a week ago. This is I have the URL in your handout. This is a New York Times compilation of letters to the editor about how stressful admissions is. And it's as if, like, the students from Cascadia, California, and just look at the last line. While growing up, there was an emphasis on being well-rounded individuals. But it seems colleges are becoming more selective in recruiting people with strengths in a certain area. So, straight from the horse's mouth. So the more you assist your child in developing that depth in a few areas, the better things are going to be. How does that work? And certainly that could be in STEM items for sure, but depth often requires soft skills. Number 5. Prioritizing your child's soft skills. Soft skills open doors and really lead the way. They rule the world. So, in order to emphasize my point, I have 2 ways of emphasizing my point. One is to go back to our poor STEM student with little to say. Okay. We've got our 4.0, our 1560, maybe 1500, maybe 1490, it doesn't matter. Robotics, key club, food by piano. Okay. Again, and I meet a bunch of students. You know, I do work with students from like the most selective high schools in the area, and not only those, and it's not necessarily by choice, it's just something that keeps happening. And I will meet very, very competitive students from the very best schools in this area. And the student will come and say, I'm passionate about AI. And I will say, why? What about, have you heard about like some of the pending risks to AI? No, I don't know anything about that. Okay, well you 4.0, 1560, 1600, you're like a racehorse, you don't know where you're going. Admissions readers will note that. But if that same student has read up on the complexities of AI, I mean, we all know what Elon Musk says about AI, right? That's all you have to do. already that person's profile has been bumped up very significantly. Soft skills, rule the world, lead the way. And guess what? This is the highlight of my talk. Google agrees with me. So it's always really exciting for me when I get to say Google agrees, especially on soft skills. So Google really does believe this. And in fact, so they ran a study, and I have this in a newsletter, and perhaps some of you have seen this. They basically have been crunching all of their HR data since 2013. And they came up with 7 items that they think create their most productive workers. 7 items. So let me get them down here for you. Oh, you weren't supposed to see that part, but okay. Where does STEM come? What are all the families I meet doing? They're all focusing on STEM, and that's it. And they're doing a really great job. They're doing amazing stuff. They unfortunately have nothing to say about it. But what is Google telling us? To be a really productive person at Google, to be really successful, be a good coach, communicate and listen well, possess insight into others, especially those who are different, have empathy towards your colleagues, be supportive, be a good critical thinker and problem solver, make connections across complex ideas. Oh yes, STEM. So, and that was where, I think when I connected Matt up with the Academy of Sciences, and he was writing for NPR, and he was writing about the environment, and guess what he was getting? Really obnoxious, disrespectful comments from these, like he was on Twitter, but it wasn't Twitter, like that. He really learned a lot about what it is to put yourself out there, what people are thinking. It made a big difference in going to look for this next job, which he did by himself. So I really do want to emphasize how important building soft skills are for your student. Again, it makes a huge difference in the applications. And then I know I was talking with Laura about this a few weeks ago, because I was talking about the Matt example. And one of the things Laura noted was it was so easy to work on the essays with Matt, because he already had his own narrative voice, because we had worked on his soft skills in 9th and 10th grade. So when he got to this higher stakes writing, he already had a personality, and his essays were really awesome. And I think there was like a prom situation, I don't know, yeah, it was a prom situation, and we got good stuff out of him. You can get out the more vulnerable stuff too, once you're focusing on your kids' soft skills. Let's see, I also want to point out that focusing on all the writing with Robin's parents said to me a few weeks ago, she's writing 50 articles for the Yale Daily News. And they really believe that it was the soft skills that gave her the courage. She's building a major portfolio for herself right now in her freshman year of college. She might not have had that confidence if she hadn't really worked on her reading and her writing, her presentation skills. So this is my most important pro tip to you guys today. Read, write, do stuff in the world. That does not exclude STEM stuff, of course. Reading opens your mind up. It opens your child's mind up to what is outside of it. If we go back to Google, communicating and listening well, having empathy, that stuff comes from reading, not reading Twitter. Absolutely not reading Twitter, but reading good writing. Writing opens up the space for reflection and determining the value of your experiences. Go back to Google. They value being a good critical thinker and problem solver. Writing directly leads to a person becoming a good critical thinker and problem solver. And then doing stuff in the world puts it all into practice. Okay, so it's a lot of stuff. And guess what number 6 is? Anybody have a guess as to what my the sixth primary way of achieving calm? I just gave you a lot of stuff to do. There's my hint. Anything? Anybody? Organize early. Give yourselves time. Give yourselves time. I'll talk to you a little bit about Stacy, who I met her in the second half of 9th grade. And because, as with Robin, we just had a lot of time. She was interested in dance and art. She was really good at math. One of the things we did with her, you can't do this with every student, but perhaps, we got through with her SAT at the end of her sophomore year. So by June of her sophomore year, she was done with the SAT. She took it once. That's it. And guess what she went on to do? She did an internship for a solar panel company. She did an internship for an ed tech company. She danced a lot. She went to MIT's first launch program for entrepreneurs. She also joined this interdisciplinary media arts program in her school, like an alternative sort of curriculum. She was doing all sorts of hands-on, like photojournalist types of things. She's now studying computer science at Penn, admitted to Brown, Berkeley. So, time is admissions capital. I literally did explain this to a 10th grader today, last week, and her mom is in the audience. It really did make sense to her. I talked about a candy store. But time is admissions capital. Spend it well. And to emphasize my point, I just read an article a few weeks back. This is an article that was written in the aftermath of the Parkland shooting. And it's discussing the teen brain. It's in your packet. But I thought this was like the best quote I could have gotten ever for my speech, which is that young people, empirical studies of all stripes show, struggle with decisions made in the heat of the moment. But when it comes to decisions that allow them time for reflection, the evidence suggests an adolescent's skills can be on par with a fully grown adult. So the family that comes to me in 11th grade with the mother mad at the daughter and the daughter mad at the mother, trying to do too much at once for this, this overworked teen system. But doing it over time, they will make good decisions. And so Tim and I, over time they make good decisions. And I have to say, working with the students we've worked with throughout high school, they do make good decisions. You just have to introduce decision making to them, that's all. So the step-by-step planning is really what is key to cultivating the interests and then getting to admissions in that less stressful way. So start planning, start thinking, and one way to do it, just a quick formula here, is you're running along two parallel tracks. You've got that vision thing going, and hopefully that's playful. It can be playful. If your child is an intact human being, that person is going to go to college and make a lot of contacts, do a lot of networking, and that person's going to get a job. Like that's going to happen. But if you're worrying now, no, engineering, because you have to get a job, and the kid's like, I like photography, that child might very well get to engineering. But if you're not being playful with the vision piece, you're losing out. You're losing out in the capital, the admissions capital. So the vision thing, playful, putting it all together, organizational, and again, we have some stuff that we can help you with there. Okay. So, Sally's going to come up in 1 second. I just want to say just one more thing as she's walking up. And here's to me like the raw truth of all of this. We don't know what the future holds. We live in such a rapidly changing society. The jobs you guys have, they might be very different 10, 15 years from now. Okay, so we don't know what the work world is going to look like for your child. but we do know this. That world will need people who are resilient and who display good judgment and make good things happen. So I'm hoping that nugget will help guide you. And with that, I'm going to hand this over to Sally.
Thank you, Dr. Dr. M. Dr. M. My name is Sally Wu, and I'm a certified college planner. And I want to echo to Dr. M's theory about how to find the fit school to your kids. I myself had 3 children. My first child, second child, they all graduated from college. They are working right now. And my third is going to college this year. And I myself, not only just planning for their financial part, but also follow Dr. M's theory about finding the fit school for your kids, because not only it's increased great chance for you get scholarship from the school, also your child, if they go to the fit school, they take ownership. They own their college career, not by the parents. So I have 3 kids. My first child is a boy, but he's a very introvert person, and he's not very outgoing, very quiet. And at around 5th grader, we kind of spot something that, the teacher's homework usually take about 1 hour, should be finished by elementary school. But it takes him about 3 to 4 hours to finish. Then we found out that it's not because he has that hyper, attention issue that he cannot focus. It's because he has some not learning problem, because we have done a test on him. And later we found out his learning style is called hands-on learning. He has to watch people do things, go through the things, then he learns. The worst learning style for him is listening. By sitting in a school, sitting in a class, teachers talking, that's the worst way for him to absorb. That's why when he came home, he didn't learn anything. That's why it takes him so many hours just to do a study. So with that kind of child at home, what do? I hire a tutor. It doesn't work for him. It's the problem of that he cannot listen very well. He has to go through something, do an experiment. So with this child, what do? When he's starting from junior high, I send him to community services, because I want him to do things to learn from the real world, not just in the classroom protected setting. So from junior high all the way to high school, he has kept in doing one thing. He's doing in child care, because he loves children. He's a very simple person, so child care is very, fits his style. So after he graduated from high school, the 4 years, he has accumulated about 500 service hours. That gave him a very hands-on experience. So when he later write the essay is so genuine that the teacher, when the advisor, admission advisor reads it, it touches their heart. They know this child has gone through a lot. And then, because his grades is not that good, so his GPA doesn't look good, his SAT doesn't look good, that doesn't make him go to a good school, right? But this one is a private school. So after they read his essay, they compromise with his score, let him go to that private college to become a teacher. Right now, he's a teacher. But there's one tiny story. After he got admitted to that school, that admission officer asked him to write a supplemental essay. They have the admission essay, right? So after he finished that, they like it, they admit him, but they say, hey, we need you to write one more supplemental essay. Can you explain why your grades is so low? So then he has to explain, because his learning style, and that qualifies him to be a teacher, because he can connect with people has that type of problem. And my daughter, the other way, when she was junior high, she told me, I want to be a doctor, because she loves to watch, I think it's House or something. It's a house, right? That's a like emergency, and hospital scene, and she loves to watch that. So she thinks she can become a doctor. And also, we live in Fremont, Mission High. Mission High School is also a highly competitive high school, and the kids only know 3 types of job in the whole wide world. So what's that? Engineer, medical doctor, or lawyer. They only have these 3 types of business in the whole wide world. So because she loves science, she loves biology, so she was led that she should just go to do medical. But then actually her talent is in drawing. And so by the time of 11th grader, she told me she decided that she wants to become an artist. She wants to do arts. So then, of course, we follow her dreams. We let her take the ownership. So we sent her to a college down in South that she graduated from the digital department, and now she works for DreamWorks. And her movie, well, not movie, her TV is coming out in summertime. It's called Captain Underpants. So I do see that, I learned from my daughter that you can own your dream, that you can, if you take ownership, your dream will come true. So that's why I echo to Dr. M's theory that if you really let your children, take the ownership, find out their true strengths, connect that with the fit school, the right major for them. Not only they take the ownership, they own the college career, they graduate, they become a person that can find a position in this world. They also good scholarship. So that brings me to the next one. Okay, this is the college cost. If the kids are going to college this year, UC costs you $36,000, private $70,000, state $27,000. So parents here, you need to prepare for that amount. But if your kids are still a little bit like 3 years, 4 years away from that, you have to factor in the inflation about 5 to 7% per year. Okay, so that is the college expenses you need to keep in your mind. And the next one, I just want to give briefly, just let you go through that. Princeton has done a survey every year talking about college planning thing. And before, they usually are worried about what kind of school I should go to. Can I get to the dream school? Can I get to the major I want to? But this year's result comes back, answer has changed a little bit. Actually, they are worried more about how to pay for college expense now, not just get into the right school, because the tuition keeps going. And UC Berkeley is increasing their tuition too. The board is talking about maybe in May, they're going to increase the tuition. You're gonna see protests again. So that's why when you talk about financial resources, doesn't matter your income, we can divide it in this room that your income may be low income, low assets, low income, high assets, high income, low assets, and high income and high assets. So in your heart, you should have a picture which quadrant that you already fall into. But doesn't matter which quadrant you fall into, you need to get yourself ready. Some of the resources may open up to you. Not every single one, but some will be open up to you. So for the first one you want to work is the government grant from federal and from state. The second grant, of course, merit-based grant. The third one we call work study, that you have to work on the campus a little bit and then you get paid. Number 4, subsidized student loan. Number 5, unsubsidized loan. And number 6, take scholarships. So I'll go through one by one a little bit, just quickly. So government's very easy. It has everything to do with your income and your assets level. If you can control the number, then this will be open up to you. But you say, hey, how can I control my assets or income? There will be some financial way, financial planning can help you reduce that or reposition that. So we call expected family contribution can be reduced a little bit. When that number is reduced, open up the chance for you to receive any financial aid from the state or from the federal government. Secondly is the merit-based school grant. Now this one is if you help your students find a fit school, means the school fits their learning style, fits their academic performance, then that's called fit school. And those fit school will want to pursue your students. They see your students totally fits them, so they want to pursue you. When they want to pursue you, how do they show the good gesture? They give you money to go to. And where does the money come from? Comes from endowment fund. If you have been studying in USA and in any college, have you ever received your school call you to donate every year? I graduated from Michigan State University, and I don't know how many times I have moved around. They always track me down. Every year, they'll tell me they need to build something and they need your donation. And those money, they have special manager to go to invest. And after the capital gain, it's tax-free. The government does not charge them for tax, but government wants to make sure they see the money apply back to the students. So there'll be huge endowment fund there, and if you don't know, then other students know, they will get it. So you have to prepare yourself through school selection and finding the fit school. You will get those merit-based scholarship. And remember, I have 3 kids, right? All my kids, first child, second child, they all got this kind of need-based aid and merit-based scholarship. And the reason I can get it is because I don't hold W-2 income. That's something, an edge for me. I'm a business owner, so I hold 1099. So if you sitting here, if you are a business owner, you have more room than W-2er to do financial planning, okay? So just keep that in mind, and you may qualify for more grants than W-2ers. And work study is something that you just have to work at school, but you just don't walk into the office and tell your, tell the school office that you want to work. That's too late. You have to file financial form. So it doesn't matter your income level. If you don't file financial form, work study will not open to you automatically or by your request when you walk upon to the admission office. You have to file it. Subsidized loan is a loan you have to pay back, but subsidized. That means that it's a good cash flow. You don't have to pay the interest while your students are in the school getting the money. So it's a good cash flow. You can return back after your kids graduate. Unsubsidized loan, now that's the loan, unsubsidized. That means when you turn on it, when you accept it, you're starting to accrue the interest rate. So maybe this is a loan you don't want to accept unless you have really tight cash flow. Now, tax scholarship is also another way to get, sorry. It's especially if you are a small business owner. If you are a business owner, there'll be a lot of ways for you to set out your retirement planning. If you work in U.S. corporate, you probably participate in 401k, right? In the company's 401k. But if you are a business owner, you probably don't have 401k then. Then through financial planning, we can help you to set up not just regular 401k. I have a parent, his income is from business, is about $300,000. Now, if you work for corporate, you're earning $300,000, you only can contribute maybe $18,000. Then the rest will be your taxable income. But with a business owner, we can do special, we call defined benefit. It's a special planning for business owner. We can defer up to 80% of that $300,000. If you defer 80%, how much you need to pay tax? It's very low, right? It's almost like $50,000 to pay tax. So we can save a lot of tax. In that clients, we save about $80,000 on that first year. $80,000 good to pay the tuition for UC for 2 years. So that's called tax scholarship. So there are many strategic tax planning for people that you can benefit to maximize your plan. So grants plus merit-based scholarship or like a tax scholarship, those are other funding strategy, means that you will end up with less debts or even no debts. Okay, so this one is one of our students that he was admitted to Cornell, and the cost of attendance is $60,000. And sorry, I got an allergy. So, and that school year is 2013. So you can see the cost of attendance is still a little bit on the low side, 60. Now it's already 70. And after the planning, their EFC, I don't know if we can see well, okay. On the center, EFC is about controlled down to 23,000. So 60 minus 27, you do see there's a gap of $37,000. So that's the total award. The total award, $37,000, composed of Cornell grant, $32,000. Federal direct subsidized loan, $3,000. Work study, $2,000. So that will be the aid that you can get. Okay. So when we talk about your assets, you can only put into the next 3 buckets. The first one we call taxable. Taxable buckets means that every year, as long as you have $10 in your interest or capital gain, you need to file tax. The second bucket, tax later, means that you don't have to pay tax up front. You can get tax write-off now. But once you go into invest. Later, when you harvest, when you take it out, the principal plus the capital gain all needs to be taxed on income tax rate. The third one is tax advantage. Means that upfront you pay a little bit tax. Once get in, starting to invest and compound forever and ever, you don't need to pay tax again. So no matter what, number one bucket, every year you get cut. Every year you have a capital gain, you have a cut to IRS. Second bucket, you don't pay tax now all the way, but until when you're starting to withdraw the money, you pay everything. The principal plus whatever the gain together, you pay tax. The third one is that your money is like a tiny seeds. You pay tax now. Once you plant it into the soil, and later it grows into a tree, the tree belongs to you. It doesn't belong to IRS anymore. So there will be three types of investment. Now, from the school's perspective, how do they assess those income and assets? The first bucket taxable, you see that, CD, stock, mutual fund, real estate, it's 100% they're gonna assess. So those will be counted against your EFC, expected family contribution, means your financial strength. Second bucket, they'll let it go because it's your retirement. So they will let it go, those money. The third bucket, Roth IRA, is also still considered a retirement. So they will let it go. Municipal bond is just the interest is tax advantage. You don't have to pay tax. But the premium, the base of the premium of the municipal bond itself is considered as some of the mutual funds. So in the first bucket, so they will be counted against you. Another one is 529. Anybody know about 529? Okay, 529 is designated for education. Since you save that designated for education, then later, of course, school will say you have to use this up before I consider if you need help or not. So because you save in that category, then you have to use it. And the next one is called 7702. It's also a tax code. You see the number is all about tax code. 401k is a tax code. Tax code 529 is a tax code. 7702 is also a tax code. That is a cash value life insurance. Life insurance, but they attach with an investment account. And that investment could be mutual fund. You can put it in purchase mutual fund. You can purchase index fund. You can just put it in the CD under the life insurance. But doesn't matter which type of investment you engage, all the capital gain, not only is tax-free, all those money is sheltered from school. School does not count it. So as long as you know how school assess it, you just need to rebalance your portfolio, then you open up your need-based aid or your financial aid. And this is on the FAFSA side. FAFSA already show on the right hand, the first paragraph, the investment including real estate, except your primary home. So including your rental property, investment property, including 529, UGMA, UTMA, basically just a gift, just like 529. Money market funds, mutual fund, CD, stocks, stock option, bonds, other security, or commodities. So those are included. And not included, including the home you live in, the value of life insurance, retirement plan. So government already put it up on the website that you can search for so that you know how to reposition your own assets so that you can reduce your EFC and then hence open up more financial aid for yourself. Okay, so now this is a case. One of the students that their household income is a single family. They have about $100,000, but they save up $120,000 in 529, and they have mutual fund of $200,000. So in this case, even though their income qualify for financial aid, because of that asset disqualify them, so they don't get anything. School will say, hey, first use up your $120,000 in 529. And then if you have needs, you still have save up mutual fund. That's also liquid, right? So that's on the first category. So you have to participate more before that they want to give you more. So this year, we have a student has the situation is very similar to this picture. And after we help them reposition their assets, they receive a Cal Grant. This is 2018, received Cal Grant almost $13,000. So as long as you know how to reposition some assets, the money is still in your pocket, just in different bucket to grow for you, in different environment grow for you. But then you totally open up this category for you, the Cal Grant. But this is not doing something, this is all legal. Why? Because on FAFSA side, government already told you what kind of investment I will assess, what kind I won't. So you just sync up with the government's guideline, then that's the end results. Okay, so just as Dr. M has said that, with her strategy, you want to go to the dream school, fit school, or safety school, usually you would deploy a school list, right? To me, that yellow color representing the dream school. So if your kids want to go to dream school, sometimes maybe on the scholarship side it will be a little bit less that you can get because she gets into the school that she's not sitting on the top 25% rank herself or himself. So if there's scholarship, he may not be qualified that much. But if they go to the green school, that means the fit school, and then they have much, much better chance to go to. That's why when we just do the school selection, you need to have a portion from the dream school, but you need to have a bigger portion from the fit school. And those fit school actually is the strategy for you. Some school the students may not want to go to, but you want to still apply. Why? It gives you a bargain power. Later, they give you a scholarship to go to. Maybe your idea is to go to the other school, which they don't want to give you too much money. However, this school, because they are on the same level and they give you more money, you can use this to prove that I received the award letter. I want to bargain with you. I want to talk to you. I want to come to your school, but if you can give me a little bit more, then I can come to your school. So there will be some strategy involved in there. Okay, so when you choose school, you also, not just go to the dream school, but you also want to do some research about what kind of scholarship they go to. Some school is very generous. They give 100% financial support. Some school we call spread the love. It means that every applicant, I want to make you happy. I give you a little bit of money. I want to make you to come. So different type, but University of Chicago is one of the school called 100% because they have about $130 million in financial aid give out every year, and then they will offer empowering education, and then they will ensure the students can leave college without burden of student debts. So that's one of the school they want to give more, and they also have 2,000 plus funded internship on their campus. Okay, so when you students do some research, you want to engage them to pay a little bit attention on the money side so that they have more sense. Okay, so don't disqualify yourself. Low income or middle income with low assets, or you are middle income, high assets, or you are high income but low assets, or you are high income, high assets. There will be strategy for you to maximize your college benefit. All right? Okay, I'm done. Welcome. Oh, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sally. Okay, so at this point, you guys, I just have a few more things to share with you, but you guys have a really, she forgot this little, so you see, sort of getting through college admissions and college, looking at these things from a variety of different angles. She had a few more slides here. Feel free to take note of how to get in touch with Sally as well. Sally and I will be partnering, but to get the financial piece going, feel free, here's her information, and I'm not sure we included it in the handout, but we could. So we will do that as well. Okay. So hopefully you've gotten this, a full-on comprehensive sense of a variety of the different factors involved in doing this in a way that gets you through it intact. I did want to mention, and I think you have flyers, there have been flyers on the seats, that I've talked a lot about my one-on-one students, but at Blue Stars, we're really committed to reaching as many students as we can. And so we've been developing a curriculum, and we are launching summer camps, so college planning summer camps. Each one is 1 week long, and what it's done is distill the work that we do with our one-on-one students and sort of encapsulate it into a 40-hour workshop. And it's all interactive. There are all sorts of different sheets, so your children will have a lot to show for themselves and a good foundation as well. So I wanted to call your attention to that as well. Also, I can talk to you individually about our offerings, but Sally and I will be partnering on our Premium Plus admissions package. So if you want the full-on service of school selection, essay writing, strategy, as well as the financial component. And then what we'll do is, once Sally is sort of running the numbers on her end, we'll take the school list and do an evaluation for the expected family contribution. And then if we want to tweak the list to maybe find schools that perhaps will offer more financial reward, we can sort of go back and look at it. So this is really looking at admissions from like every angle so that you really get that best fit school, which was Sally was talking about. So I wanted to announce that. And finally, we have a raffle. And maybe, I don't know, Christine, if you want to shake that up and pick one. And while you're doing that, I did want to say thank you so much for coming. And if you are interested in our services, we have a 10% discount through June 15th. We'd also like to offer a 15% discount on our workshops. And then we have a raffle for that one free strategy consult with me, and basically what we do in that consultation is there's a Google form to fill out, and I review everything in advance, and we just have a brainstorm session on all of these things so that you start to have a picture, you have ideas, things like that. So do you want to read the number, or do you want to give me the number? We can just see who's the lucky winner. Okay. And that is number 307010. Anybody? 010. Okay, let's get another one then. We have to have a winner. It's all about winning. All right, 307009. All right, awesome, yeah. Cool, we can talk later on. And I see that there are 2 teens here, and I just want to congratulate you for making it through. How are you guys doing? You didn't fall asleep? You didn't check your phones? Awesome. I know, I think, any quick questions? Any questions, 1 or 2? Hi. Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. Yeah, that would be something to talk with Sally about a little bit more. I tend to work with students, I mean, it just depends on the student, and community college is an option. We're usually, in my line of, in the sort of the students we work with, we're trying to get them into 4-year colleges usually. So yeah, that would probably be more like a Sally type of issue. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yes. Can I talk more about the workshop? Yes. Actually, the workshop is for like 8th through 10th, so rising 9th, rising 10th, rising 11th graders. So, and what we've done is, and the team, the 2 people who worked with me on the curriculum are actually here, And what we've done is we've created a bunch of interactive exercises. Everything is really structured so that students are starting to think about, what am I interested in? How do I connect that? How do I write a cover letter? How do I write a resume? And so we'll get them going on all these things. We've already set up sort of packets in Google Docs so that they'll be able to start their resume. They might even write like a half-truth, half-fantasy resume, that sort of thing. So there'll be a number of things that they will be working on over the week so that by the end of the week they can present you, the parent, with, oh, this is my skills interest worksheet, and I came up with 5 different jobs I never knew about because I'm interested in tennis and photography, that sort of thing. So it's basically getting your child organized and then setting it up so that hopefully you both can talk about it by the end of the workshop. And then we include a free consultation with the instructor so that you can sort of talk about next steps. Yeah, so it's like a consolidated way of, lately I've been using the term like snapping things into place, to snap things into place. And it'll be 40 hours, you drop your kid off, and we do the rest. And it's for, it could be for rising, if the 11th grader hasn't gotten this stuff together, the rising 11th, yes. We do have a more advanced workshop that we've written the curriculum from, but we're launching this one first. And the next step would be 11th and 12th graders for school selection and essay topics. Yeah. Thank you so much. You've been awesome. We've kept you a long time. We've thrown a lot at you. If you haven't signed the sheet, that would be great if you did. And if you need to talk with us now, we have a few minutes. Thank you so much. Have a nice evening. Thank you.